What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to Ideal Offseason. This is the little series where basically I get to put the GM hat on for a little bit and try to guide an NBA team through their upcoming offseason. Now, I had been doing this for the playoff teams. Basically, like once they got bounced, I figured I would take advantage of teams being like, oh no, what are we going to do now? And we'll do them. But then I started doing the math and I'm like, there's no way I can get done like all these teams like one a week or something like that before the draft actually happens. So I'm going to start to sprinkle in like all of the other teams that I haven't done now. And today I'm doing my favorite team, the Chicago Bulls. This is only going to hurt a lot. So we're back here on the ideal offseason spreadsheet, meaning like this is a little thing that I put together to help kind of demonstrate all of this stuff. We're going to take a look at the Bulls and try to guide them through the offseason. A reminder, this series is not, and I repeat not because there's always one comment, to win a championship. Not always. This is ideal offseason, meaning one, I want this to be as realistic as possible, right? I want it to make sense. I want there to actually be some thought put behind it. But two, not every team's ideal offseason is to position them towards a championship. Like when I first did this with the Spurs, it was okay. Wemby's really, really good. What can we do to help him continue to develop next year? What are the moves that we can make to better position ourselves for the future that we have right now? For teams like the Sixers that we did, I'm like, okay, we've got all this cap space and we need to turn around and win a championship next year. What does that look like? The Bulls is going to be a teardown job. Any of you Bulls fans out there, stand up with me. This season sucked. I could do a rant on this team for like forever, but I'm very annoyed with the ownership group and the front office at this point. There's no point at trying to keep this core together. It's not going to win any basketball games. It's not the best thing ever. I know when Lonzo Ball was healthy for that half a season, we looked so good. Well, now it's been like 2.5 years since then. Lonzo Ball's presumably coming back next year, which that's exciting. But like it's not worth putting together this team that's just going to fizzle out in the play-in every year. I don't want to see it anymore. We pay so much money for this nonsense team that can't play like any defense. They're completely overloaded at one position, aka the point guard. I had to move DeSumo over there. Who knows what position DeSumo is, but like we've got all these point guards and like we don't develop any talent. Like you could say Kobe White's been developed a little bit, like yada yada yada. But like when are we going to start to see some progress out of like Dalen Terry or Patrick Williams or something like that, right? Like it's just so frustrating. There's nothing right now on the Chicago Bulls team that I look forward to. Nothing at all. And that's coming from, I feel like, most of the Chicago fan base. Like what is there to look forward to? You guys tell me. I don't know what it is. And so I'm going to do what all Chicago Bulls fans I feel like want to do, and that's tear this team down and start building up some assets and focus in on a couple key players to see if there's anything there. Because I'm not going to lie, there's not a player on this team that I'm overly excited about, like long term. Like, yeah, there's some interesting pieces or whatever, but like long term, not thrilled about any of it. So, you know what, let's take a step back. Let's take a look at the situation we've got ourselves in, and let's figure out where to go from there. First things first, the cap space situation. So right now, going into the offseason, we're about $11 million under the cap, which means we have room to operate, but we also have some free agents to make decisions on. Those names include DeMar DeRozan, who, like, he's expressed interest in wanting to come back and everything, and I'm guessing the Bulls in real life are probably going to throw a lot of money at him to come back. I love DeRozan. DeRozan's awesome. I love his game. There's just not a point in there being a partnership there anymore. I'm not going to make that happen. Spoiler alert. Patrick Williams. My business partner is a coach with the Bulls, right? I'll put it that way. So he's done a lot of work with Patrick Williams. So I don't like to talk about like my actual like connections in the league and everything like that all that much. And I shouldn't say he's there anymore. He's actually somewhere else now. But he's worked with Patrick Williams before. And so he's told me, he's like, the skill is there. It's there. He's phenomenally talented. We need to get it out of him somehow. And he's still only 22 years old. I need to bring Patrick Williams in to try to give him a fair shot at something. Andre Drummond's probably not coming back. I bet you Torrey Craig opts out so that he can go win somewhere else. Javonte Green's my favorite player in the team. I will be bringing Javonte Green back, and we're going to give him some money because we should have signed him last season. Adam Sanogo, someone that I'm probably interested in bringing back as well. I mean, we might as well bring some youth back to the team. And then Drell, not all that interested in Drell. So Drell can probably kick back for a little bit. What do we got for draft picks? It's not too good. This is the 11th pick this year, as of right now. Obviously, the lottery can be whatever. We're going to operate as if we have the 11th overall pick. We don't really have many second-round picks going forward. We've traded our pick next year, which is just delightful. What is the actual situation behind that? Chicago's first-round pick to the San Antonio Spurs, part of the DeRozan trade, protected selections 1 through 10 in 2025 and 1 through 8 in 2026. Considering we're going to be bad next year, Gonna assume we're just not gonna have that pick. And let's be honest, like, this could be us even if we tried to put this team back together, because that's just how good they are. But our draft situation doesn't look great. At least we have our own picks going forward after this next season, but it's kind of unfortunate that we don't have that draft pick, because next year's draft is supposed to be pretty good. So, is what it is. Thanks a lot, Chicago Bulls front office. It just is what it is, right? I mean, you got DeRozan. DeRozan was good and everything. I get it. Looking at the current roster and everything, Zach LaVine makes a whole lot of money for a lot of years, and he's not happy here. Gonna try to find a place to move him. It's not going to be easy to do. Lonzo Ball, 1 year left in the contract. You let him ride it out, man. Nobody's going to want to trade for him anyway. Kind of the same thing with Vucevic. I don't know what team exists out there that they're going to want a guy that, given, walking double-double. Offensively, very good. Rebounding, very good. Defensively, pretty poor. He's one of the worst pick-and-roll defenders I've ever seen, in all honesty. He's pretty poor. So Vucevic, probably going to stick on the team until he's upset or says something otherwise. I just don't know where we can move him. Kobe White's coming off a phenomenal season with us. We love Alex Caruso. We're probably going to try to flip Caruso, though, into some sort of picks like we should have. We can get a first-round pick for Alex Caruso, hopefully in like next year's draft or maybe even this year's draft. We'll see kind of the options that are out there. Ayo Dosunmu is someone we want to keep on developing. Javon Carter has no use for us on this team. I like Javon Carter's game a lot. We'll find him a better home because we don't need to pay a fourth-string point guard technically on the roster, $6.5 million. Dalen Terry, someone we can keep developing. I'm going to go ahead and let's talk about this first. There's a team option here on Dalen Terry. I'm picking up that option on Dalen Terry. He's a very interesting playmaker and passer. I want to keep developing his game. I'm going to assume Torrey Craig doesn't want to come back here, and he wants to go win a championship. So, Torrey Craig, you can leave the team. Then we got Julian Phillips, who was a second-round pick for us this last year. Had some really interesting moments for us. I'm cool with bringing him back, in all honesty. Along with Batim, who we picked up from the G League or whatever and brought up onto the team, like two-way deal, I believe it was. I want to give Batim some more minutes to develop because I just liked his game a lot. He was a nice floor spacer for us, gave a great effort whenever he was out there. And you know what? We got to develop some young guys, so that's what we have to work with. We've got 5 roster spots left, 1 draft pick for sure, and a couple free agents to go get, but we're gonna be trying to trade some of these boys here. So normally I'd go right into the draft, right? Normally that's something I do. But what I want to do first is I want to try to move Zach LaVine, because we might be getting a pick in this year's draft, if that's the case. Zach LaVine just makes too much money. We're not going to be good anyway. He's clearly not happy here. Let's try and find him a place to move. And honestly, the first place that's coming into mind, I haven't even thought through what it would look like, is probably the Sacramento Kings, right? They're a team that has expressed a lot of interest with him. He signed that offer sheet with them a couple years ago. He clearly wouldn't mind going there. They could probably use another scorer on the team in Zach LaVine. Makes some sense, so we're going to explore that. Like the Orlando Magic's probably another team that I think of could be a place that we move him to. That's a lot of money for them to pick up, but the player makes a lot of sense. So we'll take a look and see what we can do with that. So we're making our way over to Fanspo. You guys all know Fanspo at this point. It's a really cool website with a bunch of cool like basketball tools and NBA, NFL tools that we can use. It's got this trade simulator. It's also got the mock draft simulator that we'll use later in the video. Very, very cool stuff. You guys should check it out below. By the way, if you guys want access to this spreadsheet and everything, you can leave a comment. I respond to every single comment on my channel. I just always do. And if you're interested in playing around with this spreadsheet, we've had 20 or 30 people already ask for it. Basically, I'll just shoot you a DM and I can get you hooked up with it. Pretty simple stuff. Happy to share it with you guys. Glad you guys are interested in it. But let's find a way to move Zach LaVine onto the Sacramento Kings. What's a way that we can make this happen? They don't have a first-round pick this year. They have a first-round pick next year. Can they trade that? Yes, they can, because the 2026 pick is still there. Okay, I'd be interested in that. I at least want to get into the draft next year, considering we're probably not going to be good this year, right? So I feel like that has to be a part of it, right? And then at the very least, Zach LaVine is heading over there. How many picks are we going to get for Zach LaVine? I think it depends on like the players that we're actually taking back, right? If we're taking back like a young player, I'd say maybe just one, just because he's coming off an injury and he's a whole lot of money. He's also 29 years old, so he's starting to kind of hit that threshold where it's like, okay, it's kind of now or never. So I don't imagine a team like completely forfeiting like all of those picks, but depending on who we're taking back, they might be willing to give us more, maybe like a pick swap or something like that. I'm just trying this trade out just to see like what makes sense and everything. Yep, they don't have all of that available. Yeah, they need to cut the full like $43 million to make it happen. Okay. So now we've got to start figuring out who we're moving over and where. There's an obvious person in Kevin Huerter right away, right? Was kind of the odd man out this year, struggled a lot for them from distance. Not a long-term guy for us, but we get off the money a little bit sooner. And the point is we're trying to get draft picks right now anyway, right? And so we might as well at least have like a semi-decent team. We're not going to have our picks anyway. So maybe Kevin Huerter has a good season for us and we can flip him afterwards. So let's at least throw Kevin Huerter in the trade. And then the next obvious person is probably like Harrison Barnes, right? Like Harrison Barnes, older dude as well, could come in and play for us right away. Makes a lot of sense, right? Okay, so let's move Harrison Barnes as well. What does that trade look like just off the bat? Okay. That's successful money-wise, right? They actually think we'll win more games like this. And really, not sure I completely understand that one. But maybe, who knows with the Bulls at the end of the day. Do I think that trade is probably enough to make it happen? No, Zach LaVine's a better player than that. So what other picks or whatever are we making them give us in the coming years or something like that? Like, could I then say like for 2026 or something like that? Something I'm actually noticing right now too, the stipend rule would technically be in effect, so we wouldn't be able to do the 2025 first round pick. That, I don't like that. I want to get a 2025 first round pick. Let me see what happens if I bring the Orlando Magic into this fold. What can we do with that? And I know there's a lot of Orlando Magic fans watching right now because the Orlando Magic version in this video did really well. So you guys just hold on for a second, all right? Just hold on. So let's start with this, and then they've got picks and everything. They also have a 2024 first round pick that I can just use this year. Am I all that interested in it? No, probably not, because their pick's not going to be all that great. I'd probably rather have your first round pick next year. So let's start with that. Let's start with your first round pick there. You have this 2026 first round pick. Washington has the right, so I'm just going to read this quick. Okay, so long story short, we're basically going to get the least favorable of like this Phoenix or Washington pick or whatever. So that one doesn't interest me like too much. Is there another pick out there that would be a little more interesting to us? There really isn't. And I'm not sure we're going to be able to make something work with this team for a couple reasons. One, I don't really see the contracts and everything lining up and us getting back the players that they're willing to give up. It doesn't make a ton of sense for us. And also, I'm not sure these two teams even really want to do business together after the Wendell Carter Vucevic thing. Because here's the thing, if the Bulls messed up another trade with this, that's a really good way to get a front office fired. So I'm not sure that that's going to happen. I think we have to look around a bit more. I'm not seeing another team. I feel like we got to make it work with the Sacramento Kings somehow. So I'm coming back to this. We're going to do the Harrison Barnes. We're going to do Kevin Huerter, right? Zach LaVine's going over there. So then what picks are we getting, right? The 2025 pick we can't have because of the stipend rule. We wouldn't be able to do it until it's actually draft night. So 2026 unprotected pick, we're just not going to be able to get a 2025 pick. And here's what we can do, right? We can use this logic. We're moving the pick over to the Bulls, the 2026 first round pick, and we can hopefully maybe use that and leverage our way with some of these other guys that we'll have under contract and get our way into the 2025 class later. We just won't be able to do it right now. So we get this 2026 first round pick, and then what I'm thinking we do is for 2027, I'm going to say that we're going to get the more favorable of those two picks or something like that. Like we basically get trade swap rights, which odds of us being able to actually use that effectively, not that high, but I at least want the possibility of it if that team bottoms out. So we're going to say that we get the more favorable of those, and we're going to move that over to the Bulls. All right, and just like that, it works. You can get around the stipend rule by doing this like pick swap thing. So that's the trade that we're going to do. Zach LaVine is off to the Sacramento Kings. He's off our squad. We've brought in Harrison Barnes and Kevin Huerter and a couple picks. So take it as you will, Bulls fans. It's probably the absolute ceiling of what we could do, in my opinion, at least. So Zach LaVine comes off the books. There he goes, man. The end of an era. The end of the Jimmy Butler era, like officially with that one. So we add Kevin Herter to this, and Harrison Barnes. Lovely, lovely. Well, there's a bunch of money now on this stuff. I'm going to move DeSumo into the starting lineup. We're going to say Kevin Herter starts there for now, and then Harrison Barnes can go in and play the power forward. Do I have a picture for him? Yes, I do. Wonderful, wonderful. All right, and then we also added the picks, so I'm going to add those. Alrighty, so now we have this Kings first round pick, and then we also have the rights to swap best with Sacramento in 2028. Cool. We got all that for Zach LaVine. We got a couple more players on the roster. That's awesome. Who else are we looking to move now? Next guy on the list is Alex Caruso, man. I can get a first-round pick for Alex Caruso, so let's go investigate. Alrighty, so now we're trying to move this guy Alex Caruso, and there's no way to, like, save the previous trade, so we're just going to know that we have technically $10 million more dollars to work with than we would have before. Where can we move Alex Caruso to? The team you always think about is Golden State. So is there something that we can do to make a Golden State trade happen? Like, who would we want from here is the question. Do we just want draft capital? Is that all we want at the end of the day? Man, they've got a lot of, like, little, like, cap holds and everything. That's so interesting. Interesting. What do they have for draft picks? They've got their pick next year. Is that just something that, like, they can trade? Not really. Like, they've got a lot of, they have a lot of money under contract already, so we have to take somebody back. Like, are we taking back a Chris Paul? Hell no. That's not something I want to do, at least. So I'm just looking at this. I don't see something that really works. They're not going to give us Kuminga or anything like that, so I'm going to have to get more creative. What's like a win-now team that would love to have Alex Caruso? Well, the Miami Heat are a win-now team that would love to have Alex Caruso, and they've just been talking about, like, trying to build or retool more so than go out and get star players. I think we can get a first-round pick for Alex Caruso. The question is, what do we have to take back? We can probably make this work without having to, like, actually take back any real contracts. So let's say we move Alex Caruso over here, and we take some of these player options into account. Josh Richardson, trade to the Bulls. Thomas Bryant, trade to the Bulls. We help them clear up some caps or some roster spots or whatever. Some guys that probably aren't going to help them anyway. They take on Alex Caruso. What picks do we want? I want... you can't give me your 20. Oh, you can't trade these picks. Oh, we can trade the 2024 on draft night, right? We can do that. I think that that's probably worth it. That's probably worth it to them. That's somebody that's going to be able to help them win right now. And I think that makes some sense. So we're going to say that we're going to take their draft night trade, and now all of a sudden we've got 2 first-round picks to work with. And that's why we haven't done the draft yet, y'all. It's time to move up in this draft. So we're going to take their 2024 first-round pick, right? Does this trade work? Does this make some sense? Failed. Okay, we have to cut $3 million more dollars. How can we make this happen? How can we make this happen? There's a player option here. There's a player option here in Kevin Love. Team option here. Is there any other way we can add some money to this? So, like, we can include Kevin Love in the deal. The odds of him wanting to come back to the Heat anyway, like, he's got the player option or whatever, that could be something that we do because he's going to opt out anyway. So these guys are both player options. They would most likely want to accept it. So, This is where this gets a little bit complicated. Y'all, how do I make a trade like this work without taking on Duncan Robinson? I don't know how it works because all these guys have, like, player options, and I'm going to assume Josh Richardson and, like, Thomas Bryant. Maybe we just tell them they have to go sign elsewhere. Like, are these guys going to get picked up anywhere else in the NBA, though? I don't know. They might want to opt back in. Kevin Love probably opts out. Caleb Martin probably opts out, but they're not going to trade us Caleb Martin anyway. They'd make us take on Duncan Robinson's contract, and I don't want to do that. I don't think the Heat works either. What's another team that we could trade like an Alex Caruso to and actually get some draft capital behind it? Is there something we can do with the Denver Nuggets? The Denver Nuggets could use a little bit of bench and a little bit of defense, some guy to replace Bruce Brown. Like, is there a way that we can make this happen? Like, they have their 2024 first-round pick that they're probably not all that interested in. That could be something for somebody. So let's just work this out hypothetically. We move the Denver pick over. Alex Caruso goes over. We try this trade, and we have to cut the whole amount, right? Yep, we have to cut the $9 million. Okay, so where do we go from there then? Who can we cut for $9 million or whatever? There's a team option on Christian Brown. There's a player option for Reggie Jackson. Zeke Naji just got that contract or whatever. How much do I want to take on Zeke Naji? I'm not all that interested. Julian Strother's an interesting young player. Peyton Watson, Can Carr. They still have Richard Jefferson's, like, cap hold. Interesting. I'm not seeing anything that can make this work either. This is so frustrating. It's so hard to like trade these dudes to these like good teams because they have so much salary already and they don't have anybody on like team options. You know what? Screw it. We're going back to the Heat. We can make something like this happen. I want that other draft pick. I'm okay with taking on Josh Richardson, Thomas Bryant, and Kevin Love. We do something like that. We send Alex Caruso back to the Heat, and they have to give us their 2024 first round pick. So we've not only taken a couple guys off their roster and everything, we've given them a very usable Heat culture player. And you know what? They don't get to use this draft pick this year. It's fine. We get that draft pick this year. How does this trade work? This trade is a success. Obviously, we have to like do the trade on draft night or whatever, but otherwise, like, we're taking back these guys. I'm gonna assume Kevin Love opts out of this contract. He doesn't want to be on the Bulls this year, and logically I'd say these two dudes probably opt into their contracts because they're not sure where else they're going to get theirs from. So I'm going to assume that that's going to be the case. Alex Caruso, you're off the team, and now we have added on Josh Richardson. Welcome to the team, my guy. And Thomas Bryant. Yay, welcome. Woo, so exciting. Alex Caruso is no longer there. We now have backup point guard minutes for Lonzo Ball. Very exciting. Hopefully he can get back into playing shape and everything. Josh Richardson, where does he fit in? He can fit in over here. He might be more than Julian Phillips, hard to say. And then Thomas Bryant slides in at a backup center role right there. We have also now acquired the Miami Heat's first round pick. All right, so now we have the Heat pick, which I believe is at like 17 or something like that. We've got these two middle of the pack first round picks now. Is there any way that we can use these to move up into this draft and package them with somebody else to get something interesting in this year's draft? Let's take a look at a mock draft and see what we can do. All right, this was a recent enough mock draft. The reason I want to go through this is there a team that would want to move back and have like 2 first-round picks or something where maybe they would rather have like some win now players and some picks later in the draft or something like that. Like the Houston Rockets, maybe they don't want the young players. Maybe they want like a win now player and they'll take some picks later in the draft. Is there a player on our team that they would want, like a Harrison Barnes or something like that? Do they want like Ayo Dosunmu? I don't know, probably not. So let's keep looking. Charlotte Hornets, probably not. The Trailblazers, I don't think they want to move back. Spurs, would they rather have some more win now players because they already had another first round pick and maybe they just want some other later ones? I don't necessarily think so. The Memphis Grizzlies. Interesting. Is it worth moving up to like 8 though? I don't know. I'm just taking a look at the Houston Rockets roster. Is there a position of need in particular for this team? Like they're gonna have their starting lineup and their centers pretty much figured out. Is it worth them like adding another wing to this team, like a defensive wing? Cam Whitmore's gonna get some more minutes. Tari Eason's probably gonna get some more minutes. Probably not. Amen Thompson might even play there, even though he's probably more of a guard. So I don't think the Rockets are going to work. Like, I want to find a team somewhere near like the top of the draft that we can trade up to. Like, would Detroit consider that? I feel like probably not. I don't think there's a trade that makes sense to this. I think we're going to use the 2 first round picks we have and hope that we can strike with something in these. So we're just going to say that we have like the 11th and 17th pick, and we're going to roll into the draft from there, I guess. We'll have 2 rookies. That's not the worst thing on this team. We can add some more rookies to the team, but after the draft, I'll probably look to do at least one more trade. Alrighty, we're simulating the draft now. So in essence, this thing's going to go through the whole like mock draft and everything for us. What don't we need? We don't need a point guard. Anything else I can probably talk myself into at this point. Like, honestly, you could probably even talk yourself into a point guard to an extent. But for the time being, this is what we're working with, right? There goes some interesting players. All right, this is what we're left with. We're left with Jacoby Walter, interesting scoring guard or whatever. Not very efficient, a little bit turnover prone. Maybe not the brightest player ever. Is what it is. Isaiah Collier, turnover prone, can't shoot yet, but really interesting physical traits. This feels like we're just drafting Kobe White all over again, but without a jump shot, honestly. That's what it would feel like drafting Isaiah Collier. Not all that interested there. Do we just take a Kyle Filipowski just as like I don't know, maybe a center that turns into a stretch at some point? Maybe he could just be a player for us. If we don't really see like a great upside value pick with this pick, do we just take somebody that we feel like will at least be solid next season, and we can kind of see where we go from there? At least we're bringing in some height. Like 7-footers aren't the easiest thing to come across, right? And especially spacing ones. So while maybe he's not useful right away, maybe down the line he's something for us. I think that's what we have to do. There's just not another valued pick here unless we can somehow find a way to like trade this pick. I'm not sure what else I can necessarily do with it. Is there anyone else that would want to trade up with us to go get this pick? This is probably the most indecisive I've ever been on one of these videos, and maybe it's because I'm a Bulls fan and I'm just really passionate. I've been recording for like an hour now trying to make this all make sense. The Bulls are just in such a stupid situation. All right, I think what we're going to do is we're going to take Filipowski. It's just what it's going to be. We can always trade him if we need to, but then we're going to go to the Miami Heat's pick next, which should be coming up right here, and we're going to move him over to us. Now we have the 15th pick, and we're on the clock again, and honestly, like, Connect, probably not someone I'm all that interested in as much as I like Connect as a player and everything. I think what I want to do is I want to take a shot at Tyler Smith. I like Tyler Smith a lot. I think there's a ton of potential here. So this is our actual potential pick, someone that we can give a lot of minutes to early and just see what happens. A lot of length at the wing position, probably more of a 4 to start, but it's got some spacing, big potential. Those are the two picks we're going to make in this draft with the 11th and 15th pick. All right, so that's how much money both of these guys would be making. Filipowski automatically slides in there. Thomas Bryant would be the third string. And then we throw Tyler Smith in there. I know this doesn't look great. I know it doesn't. I've been racking my brain on how to make all of this work, and it doesn't look good. So here's the positives that we have to keep in mind with this right now, right? Is that we shed some contracts, and we picked a direction, right? We're tearing things down. We acquired an extra draft pick, and we used an extra draft pick already. That's good. We've got somebody with some potential on the team, got another young guy to bring onto the team. That's cool. Some of our other young guys are going to be getting some burn. DeSumo, Kobe White, let's see what happens. Dalen Terry, we're going to see what you're made of, my guy. We've got a roster spot left, and I've got one more trade that I want to try to execute on to try to acquire some more capital, and that's moving Javon Carter. Lucky for you guys, I know exactly where I want to send the guy. Ignore this. I was trying to make other trades happen. I just couldn't make it happen. Javon Carter's going to go to the Phoenix Suns. This is a trade that I've already kind of thought through a little bit. We're going to move him to there. David Roddy can come back here to the Bulls. How does this work just like in itself, right? Team option, success. Perfect. Because I don't want David Roddy. I know, spoiler alert. Picks, they're second round picks. I want these second round picks. You're going to give me both of these second round picks. This 20, actually no, I just want the 2028 first round pick. That's probably fair. You guys get a point guard. I get a second round pick in the future. That's cool by me. Like, I don't want to pay Javon Carter this year. Anyway, I'm going to cut David Roddy because he's got a team option. The Suns get a point guard. They needed a point guard. There you go. You get a point guard on your team. I swear they have like other picks at their disposal, but we're just going to take this 2028 second round pick. Going to move on from the money, give a more, we'll say, how do I want to say this? Like an ideal roster shape so that we don't have like all these like guards on the team anymore. So Javon Carter, he's just literally off the team now. And then we pick up this Suns 2028 second round pick. So we got another second round pick. We cleared some cap space, right? We're not going to have to pay this team very much money to exist this year. All right, that's awesome. We have 2 roster spots left. Now I can finally go back to free agency and take a look at some of the guys that are available, right? Primarily our guys. So let's go back to the Chicago Bulls. 2 names that I want right now. Sonogo, it looks like you're not going to make the roster. Javonte Green and Patrick Williams are coming back. How much money does Patrick Williams want? He says he wants like $100 million. I'll give Patrick Williams, I'll give him $20 million for 4 years. I think that's fine. For a starter level player in the NBA and someone that we're trying to build, Patrick Williams, I will do that. You know what? So Patrick Williams, and I think that's fine. I don't think anybody's giving him any more than that. You can have $20 million for 4 seasons to just come back and play for me. You're going to slide in and actually the starting small forward now because I need you to have more ball handling responsibility this year. I need you to actually come in and be a better basketball player. So we're going to give you all the opportunity to shine this year. Do I not have a picture for Patrick Williams? Oh, look at that. There it is. There's Patrick Williams. He was there the whole time. I'm so tired of doing this shit, man. I'm just so annoyed as a Bulls fan that this is what I have to go through. So I've got $4 million left. all of that's going to Javonte Green. Javonte Green, I want you. Where's Javonte Green? Oh, did I spell it wrong? Oh, there he is. I just must have missed him before. It's totally fine. Okay, so you can have your $4 million. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, because you just hustle so hard, and I love you, and I'll give you 3 years to do it. Javonte Green, you can slide in, honestly, wherever the hell you want at the end of the day. And there you have it. Let the tears roll. I cannot even call this an ideal offseason. Look, I sat down to record this. I don't usually have a plan in mind with these things. Is this the best offseason ever? No. I stayed under the luxury tax, which is good, so we saved some money there, and a lot of these contracts are coming off the books. Lonzo Ball's coming off, like, Vucevic is going to be coming off soon. Kobe White, we'll see what happens with that. Like, it is what it is. We've got tradable contracts if we really need to move some people, some guys that can try to prove themselves this year. At the very least, we picked a direction, right? At least we know we're going to be bad. Maybe as Bulls fans, you guys are just cool with knowing that we're just going to be bad, right? We picked up a future first-round pick, and we're just going to be bad now. It's okay. We've got an interesting team to roll with this year, if nothing else. Like, is this going to be good enough to be bad is the question, because the Bulls can never quite figure it out. But at least we did pick up some young dudes in like Filipowski and Tyler Smith. Hopefully they can turn into something. This is a chance to see what Patrick Williams can become, right? Patrick Williams, you can get, honestly, give him as many shots as possible. We need to develop something, but for the time being, that's the Bulls' ideal offseason. It wasn't going to be good regardless. Don't give me that look. Don't hit me up in the comments with any of your nonsense or whatever. I don't love it either. This was the best I could do. You tell me what I should do then. You tell me what I should do. Should I just roll out with that team again? Is that what you want to watch? No, I didn't think so. So just sit back and enjoy this one then. At least we know it's going to be bad. And we don't have to listen about Zach LaVine being sad or anything at this point. Kobe White can do whatever. We can enjoy the Lonzo Ball redemption tour. And maybe Batum will get in the game. I don't know. But this is what we got for now, y'all. It's what we got. So thanks, as always, for watching. See you guys later. I'm going to go be sad now. Bye.